Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm going to make a video about the moon here shortly, but first I wanted to show you something quickly that I found on Google Maps that I find to be kind of a weird discrepancy, a little bit suspicious. What we're going to do first of all is I just want to zoom in on Ireland here and show you the size of Ireland. Alright, what we're going to do is simply measure the distance from this one end to the other. Alright, that's about 480 kilometers, about 300 miles, right? And that's going to be part of the video ultimately. And then what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out, and I want you to compare Ireland here. Let me get these lines out of the way. Compare the size of Ireland, right, at about 300 miles. Compare it to this island here. This is, it's not going to tell me when I click on it, but if I zoom in, you can see this is called Banks Island. Alright, if I zoom back out and I get, a good view going here, you can clearly see that Banks Island is quite large in comparison to Ireland. You could fit Ireland into Banks probably 1.5 times, lengthwise, and then size-wise at least a couple times, maybe 3 times to take up all the land mass. Banks Island is clearly bigger than Ireland at 300 miles across here. Now what's interesting is if I go to Banks Island here and I take the furthest point that I can and I measure down across the island, it's only about 245 miles across the entire island, which clearly is a greater distance than Ireland is from one end to the other, the island that is. Just a discrepancy I found, thought I'd point it out, kind of gives you, kind of makes me wonder about all the distances that we are given on Google Maps. I know there's been a lot of people have said, the flat earth doesn't work because the distances are wrong. Well, I mean, here we go. This is a flattened out view of the globe. And to prove it, if you want to measure from, Ireland to northern Canada, they show you the curve here of the earth. And it also applies to the flat map. You have to cut across Greenland and over here to get to Banks Island here. So that's no big deal, but ultimately people say the distances are wrong on the flat map. Well, I can say the distances are wrong on the globe map too now. Alright, now let's move on to the moon. Okay, so here we go. We got our picture of the moon here, and we're going to use this image to prove that there are some problems with the globe earth theory. This might not necessarily count as proof for those of you who are skeptics that the earth is not a ball, but I believe it provides enough reason to be skeptical of the whole globe earth theory. And again, this, coupled with all of the other problems with the globe and the evidence for the flat earth, I think it's enough to push you over the edge. We'll see though. So what we have is the lunar surface as you can see it from Earth. And right here, this is called the Sea of Crises. Well, how big is this Sea of Crises, you might ask? If we go to Wikipedia here, it tells us 345 miles in diameter. Alright, not bad. That's pretty big. As it turns out, it's about the same size as Ireland here on Earth. So what I'm going to do just to show you is we're going to look at Ireland through the ruler here. And from one end to the other, we got about 300 miles. So we're comparing 300 to 345. It's not a big difference. If I wanted to stretch this out a bit, just to, cover the entire island, we're just stretching out a little bit over the ocean. This is only to get you a relative image of how big 345 miles is on the surface of the Earth. Okay, so now you can see down here, our viewing altitude is only about 1,000, if I zoom out here, yeah, we're floating around 1,000 kilometers over the surface of the Earth to look at Ireland. Now, quickly, we're just going to recap how far is the Earth from the Moon. And it's about 238,900 miles. Okay? Basically, people say 240,000. Let's just stick with the number that they give us here, 238,900 miles. Remember, the Sea of Crises is 345 miles wide. Ireland is about 345 miles wide. If you just stretch over into the oceans, it's closer to 300, but that's okay. You stretch out, that's okay. We're going to go 345 from down here to up here. Alright, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to see how far we can get from the Earth. We're going to see if we can get anywhere close to the distance that the Earth is from the Moon. About, again, what is that number? It's 238,900 miles. So here we go, we're going to zoom out as far as I can. And right there on the, actually I'll put it right on the tip of the thumb there, that's Ireland. And you can see down here, we are only at 62,551 kilometers from the Earth. And Ireland is barely visible. Well, let's turn this into miles. 62,551. All I'm going to do here, 62,551 kilometers is about 38,867 miles. Okay, so this is where the rubber really meets the road. Think about it. You can see the Sea of Crises on the moon 238,900 miles away, and at an altitude of basically 40,000 miles away, you can hardly see Ireland, which is not much smaller than the Sea of Crises. Imagine if we were actually the full 238,900 miles away. How small would this little pocket of land be? You think you could see that with your naked eye? I don't know about you, but that pretty much tells me there's a huge discrepancy with what NASA tells us about the size of the moon, the distance of the moon, the size of the Sea of Crises, and how far we are from the moon. Of course, according to the flat Earth theory, the moon is actually pretty close to the Earth. It's pretty small, but it's up above the firmament in the waters, and its image is projected onto the firmament, and there may indeed be some magnification. Nonetheless, when you look at the moon, it doesn't look like it's that far away, and you can clearly see the Sea of Crises with your naked eye. If the moon were 238,900 miles away, and if this was 345 miles in diameter, I don't think you'd be able to see it, not according to what we see here in Google Earth. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.